is called a dealer also. So you need to be a little more degenerate if you're going to understand my jokes. Last time we were in Vegas, I got down to all the way down to my last $5 with a full day left. And I told my brother, I was like, gosh, I only have $5, so like we could either eat one more meal at Taco Bell or spend it at the casino at the tables. And he was like, well, either way, you're shooting craps. So, yeah. Little 9:45 toilet humor for you. There we go. All right, here we go. Next up, we have the best bio. This is like a 2-line bio. So, Doc, thank you for your bio. This is awesome. Dr. Kapil Amarasinghe is the lead advisor to BasicSwapDex. He's a privacy enthusiast active in cryptocurrency since 2016. And oh, by the way, on the side, he's an emergency medicine consultant by trade. So he dabbles in this crypto while he's out there saving lives, or actually telling other people how to best save their lives. What's your name, sir? Rock. What do you do, Rock, besides not listen or pay attention to anything I've said so far?
We're building something that will be unveiling.
You're building something that will be unveiling. So you want to have the most credibility at this conference you can, since you're unveiling something you want people to use and buy while your phone goes off.
It's on silent.
And sleep. 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 He's like, it's on silent, the alarm went off. Like, you'd be running laps if you played for me on my football team. No excuses, just bring the boat in. Don't tell me how rocky the water is, just bring the boat in. All right, let me do this again. Dr. Kapil Amarasinghe, lead advisor to BasicSwapDex, privacy enthusiast, active in cryptocurrency since 2016. Give it up for the emergency medicine consultant by trade, Dr. Kapil Amarasinghe. Do you need slides? Do you have slides?
Slides. I need, oh yeah.
There you go.
You got a mic?
Right here.
That's good. Good morning. My name is Dr. Kapil Amarasinghe. I'm one of the lead advisors to BasicSwapDex, and today I'm going to be presenting to you BasicSwap, mass adoption and revenue via the biggest global advances in the atomic swap DEX space. Oh. Well, next slide. Thank you. Oh, thank you for having us back. We were in Nashville, Tennessee, 2024, and we were really honored to be presenting BasicSwapDex last year. So firstly, thank you for having us back. A little recap for those of you who weren't there or who haven't watched that talk. Well, what is BasicSwap? Well, BasicSwap is an atomic swap DEX. This enables private, fully non-custodial, fully open source, protocol-level atomic swaps. So this essentially offers straight swaps between cryptocurrencies, true cross-chain, no intermediaries. These atomic swaps, they operate on a fully decentralized, distributed order book. And I say distributed, so this isn't like automated market makers that utilize liquidity pools. Our order books are more comparable to the ones you will see on centralized exchanges like Coinbase or Kraken, where you get set orders at set prices, with the difference being that their order books are centralized, whereas ours are fully decentralized. And this is made possible because BasicSwapDex runs on a distributed peer-to-peer network of nodes, that each of them running the BasicSwapDex protocol. And this BasicSwapDex protocol facilitates the sending and receiving of messages to enable atomic swaps and build that order book. All of that is powered by a fully end-to-end encrypted messaging layer and protocol called the SMSG network. And what this means, what this architecture does, is that it enables true cross-chain compatibility, straight swaps on set orders with no intermediary tokens, and no pooling of funds because there are no liquidity pools. Thus, you are not exposed to the risk of liquidity rug pulls. We offer a friendly user interface and a huge focus on privacy. But why care? Well, our atomic swaps are different. They utilize an implementation of scriptless scripts called adapter signatures instead of the traditional method for atomic swaps that's called HTLC. And why this is interesting, why it's great, is that it allows protocol on-chain level straight swaps for coins that lack programmable inputs, such as Litecoin MWEB. And this is why we presented last year, because we essentially came to tell you that we are bringing full support for Litecoin MWEB to the atomic swap space via BasicSwapDex. Bearing in mind, this is a big deal because it was not practically possible until we came along. Another really neat feature about adapter signatures is that they remove the typical timestamps and transaction type identifiers from atomic swaps, which make them less vulnerable, nay, invulnerable to third-party chain analysis. I refer to this as layer 1 privacy. But I refer to this as layer 1 privacy because BasicSwapDex offers many layers of privacy. You've got your layer 0 privacy, the SMSG network. As I said, a fully end-to-end encrypted messaging layer and protocol that prevents all metadata leak and obfuscates all actions taken on the BasicSwapDex protocol. On top of this, you've got that layer 1 privacy I've just mentioned, scriptless scripts, the implementation of which we call adapter signatures, which means there is no identifiable link between swap transactions. The swap logic itself renders chain analysis impossible. And then on top of that, you get your layer 2 privacy, i.e. the privacy coins or the privacy features of the coins you're swapping, in this case, Litecoin MWEB, or any of the privacy coins that BasicSwapDex supports. And to give you a really good example of how this is practical, well, say you are a third-party chain analysis firm. You look at the BasicSwapDex network directly, well, you can't see who the participants, who the makers and takers are. You can't identify them because the metadata leak is all obvious, is stopped. You can't then look at the blockchains because you may see those transactions, but there's no way to tell that actually they've been taking part in atomic swaps. And then say you happen to be swapping Litecoin MWEB with other coins, well, now you can't see the sender, the receiver, or the amount swapped. Many layers of privacy, true fungibility, true security. And these are the benefits. As I said, we are fully open sourced and decentralized. Go look at our Git. These are on-chain swaps operating at the protocol level via a messaging layer. I like to think we're analogous or comparable to the DeFi version of the Swift network. That is the best description of our architecture. We are fully non-custodial, so you are always in complete control of your funds, and there is no KYC. Our swaps are secure. The very nature of atomic swaps means that the swaps themselves will either complete, or if for whatever reason there's an interruption in the steps or it times out, well, those funds will be fully refunded to the wallets of the participating users in those swaps. Above all else, our infrastructure is highly scalable compared to centralized services. We don't have any central overheads or intermediaries. These are peer-to-peer nodes, so as more people join the BasicSwap network, our infrastructure becomes more robust, more resilient, more private, provides more liquidity with absolutely no increase in cost. And speaking of cost, this is possibly one of the biggest benefits to those who are business-minded. There are no third-party fees on the BasicSwap network. No, we're not like Coinbase or Kraken. When you do your transactions, there's not some percentage or cut going to a middleman or intermediary. There are no third-party fees, just the costs of the actual transactions on the chains themselves. But that was Nashville 2024. Why have we returned? Why are we back? Well, this is the big news. We're going to do something that's not been done before. We're going to bring atomic swaps to mobile devices via what we call BasicSwap Mobile. a swap service comparable to Changelly or SimpleSwap or StealthX that can be integrated into any web or mobile application. But unlike those centralized services, this will remain fully decentralized. Now, this is going to be great because it's going to be convenient. We're going to massively improve the accessibility of the atomic swap architecture to casual end users. It's going to be light. We're going to solve one of the biggest problems of running atomic swaps on mobile devices, which is that you will no longer need, certainly when you use the mobile version of a BasicSwapDex, on whatever application it's integrated into, you will no longer need to download and sync entire blockchains. It's going to be highly automated. So traditionally with atomic swaps, you need to leave the application running in order for the messages to spread across the network to complete the swaps. When you're going to be using the mobile instances of BasicSwapDex, you will not need, once you've initiated that transaction, it will automate in such a way that you will not even need to keep your phone switched on. You can switch to a different application or go do something else. It will just complete. And above all, it will remain private and secure. The mobile implementation of BasicSwapDex will have no loss of privacy or security compared to the home version, and it will remain fully non-custodial. And I believe this is a big deal because it's going to enable mass adoption of the cheapest, KYC-free, most private, most secure, fully non-custodial cryptocurrency swaps available on mobile services and devices ever. Centralized swap services will not be able to compete with this, and that's why I think this is going to be a big deal. So some of you who are more technically minded may be wondering, how will we achieve this? Well, in a 20-minute presentation, I can only afford to give a high-level overview. However, I'm around for the next 2 days, so if you have more questions after this, come find me. But to go over it in a brief, the first thing we'll be doing is utilizing something called pre-signing of transactions. So, if you are a maker running BasicSwapDex at home on your desktop, what you'll be doing is you'll be making orders and populating your order books. And every time you make an order on the BasicSwapDex, you'll actually be creating a bunch of instructions with each order that effectively are the full set of steps for that atomic swap to proceed. And it will have a little template for a signature for it. So you'll be creating a template for that swap. Now, on the mobile version of BasicSwapDex, it will be taker only. But the takers, they'll be able to see all of the orders on that order books as populated by the makers. And when they see an order they like for a set price at a set swap or for a set pair of coins, they'll say, yeah, I want that. And then they'll basically be saying, in taking that offer, they're basically signing that batch set of instructions. And as soon as they sign it, that's it. The process will automate. They can then switch to a different application. And this removes the persistence requirements of atomic swaps. And above all else, it remains really secure because essentially that swap will either then just complete, or if for whatever reason there's an issue on the maker end, it will just time out and the refund conditions will initiate. One of the other major methods we'll be utilizing to facilitate BasicSwapDex on mobile will be the use of block explorers in place of blockchain. So certainly this will be the initial implementation. So if you are using BasicSwapDex mobile as a swap service, what will be happening is that BasicSwap mobile will be querying block explorers that are or chain data on the BasicSwapDex network to essentially enable the messages to pass to verify the messages that will then allow the swaps to proceed. And in this way, we get rid of the requirement for, say, if you're on the mobile version, this means you don't need to download and sync entire blockchains in order to run BasicSwapDex on a mobile. And this is really nice because it still maintains that security, because at the end of the day, atomic swaps, they're just a sequence of steps. step A to step B, step C to step C, step C to step D, etc. And as long as the hashes for those steps all match, then everything will proceed. So as long as the hashes on the block explorers or on the block data or the query data match the hashes on the blockchain, that atomic swap will proceed and complete. If there's a mismatch again for whatever reason, the refund conditions initiate. So as I said, this method means it will remain secure. And this is all made possible because we will be utilizing that SMSG messaging protocol as well as other peer-to-peer messaging layers in conjunction with an API that will allow the BasicSwapDex network of nodes to communicate with the mobile and web front ends for BasicSwap Mobile. And just to show you a nice little comparison, BasicSwap is effectively BasicSwap Home, the server edition, which is really a service that has access to the full architecture of BasicSwap in such a way as to facilitate both being a maker and a taker. It's designed for market makers, liquidity providers, and decentralization purists. It has 0 third-party fees, and the aim of running BasicSwap at home is that you're a market maker or an LP that keeps it running like a server to populate those order books and enable the messaging to take place for swaps to occur. There is no KYC, and you get access to the full complement of coins that are supported by BasicSwapDex, some of which I've named on this slide, but include obviously LTC MWEB, Litecoin, Bitcoin, Monero, soon Zcash, and a few others. In contrast, BasicSwapDex Mobile is aimed for the casual end user, the retail market. It's for people who, it's a taker-only service by nature of the architecture. And it's a convenience service, so if you are an integrating partner or an integrating party for BasicSwapDex on mobile, well, if you want to integrate a third-party fee or a convenience fee to incentivize or help grow your business, feel free to. As I said, BasicSwapDex Mobile doesn't need to be running persistently, but you get full access, you get the full level of privacy and security as the home version, and almost the same level of decentralization. And once again, there is no KYC required. Now, if you look at the slide, you may notice there's an asterisk there, and I put that because, say your service, if the integrating partner, wallet, provider, application, service, whatever, if they already have KYC, well, we're not going to tell them to take it down. And say if you are doing an integration of BasicSwap Mobile, well, if you want to put KYC on top, that's up to you. But we personally don't recommend it. We think the no KYC approach is the most secure approach and is the safest approach for your customers. And in terms of coin support, again, it's all dependent on the implementation. Anyway, why is this relevant to you? Well, I've got some good news. When BasicSwapDex Mobile is ready, it will be coming to the Nexus wallet. And we are proud to announce that we will be one of the first integrating partners of BasicSwapDex Mobile to the Nexus wallet, and that will come with full Litecoin and Litecoin MWEB support. Why is this relevant to you? Well, I've already alluded to this. It's not that we're just going to be doing an integration into the Nexus wallet. We already have several potential integration partners in play. And this is going to create a growing demand on the BasicSwapDex mobile service as we gain more and more integration providers as it gets integrated into more and more web and mobile devices and applications. And that growing demand and number of integrations is going to create growing retail demand for the BasicSwap service, and that in turn is going to create a growing demand and a call to action for market makers and liquidity providers to step up, download instances of this onto their desktops and start running BasicSwapDex nodes so that they can start becoming market makers and liquidity providers to fill our order books and meet that growing demand. And they're going to get those benefits because they're going to have no third-party fees. They're going to have the perpetual edge on the takers of BasicSwapDex Mobile because they will be trading with no third-party fees. And that is something that we can offer over every centralized exchange service. But that's not the primary benefit here. The primary benefit goes to the Litecoin community, who will benefit from better access to Litecoin MWEB atomic swaps, more liquidity on mobile devices, more privacy will then come. And then that means the users and the Litecoin in the Litecoin community will have more control and far less risk when they are swapping coins. This is a service where you cannot simply freeze funds at random. This is a service, as I said, where the underlying architecture guarantees that the swaps you agree to either go through or refund. Anyway, if this has all interested you, there's a QR code. You can scan that. It's got a lot of links with a lot of information about us. So if you want to find out more, feel free to look that up after, or just find me. We are a community-driven project. We are heavily reliant on donations. So if you do wish to donate to us, we will welcome that. It will help accelerate development. We are going to be running a CCS with the Litecoin community via LightSpark and their Indigo platform to help raise funds to accelerate the development of BasicSwap Mobile. So I encourage you to look at these links and find out more. And finally, I just want to say thank you. You are a wonderful community. You have been so supportive to us. I'm so proud that you have had us back and that we can give to you guys. That is amazing. Thank you.